I'm gonna turn off my video really quick and move this jacket. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Marilee.
Hey, Rebecca. Hi. Hi, Dana.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
Nice to hear your voice.
Morning.
Hey guys,
Hi.
Hi.
sorry I missed last week. I was on vacation on the Cape, so.
Oh, nice, Jeff.
Yep. Yeah, I was.
Love it.
Yeah, so I was on vacation, so that's where I was last week, and
That sounds amazing.
yeah. So
The full week, Jeff? Did you go for the full week?
we went Tuesday and came back on Saturday. So.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So,
Nice break.
thank you.
Sounds a little bit dreamy for us West Coast people, the Cape. We don't say that out on the West Coast that I know of, so it's kind of exotic.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as nice as the beaches in California, but I mean, if you ever come out to Cape Cod, you know, we stayed at Mashpee. We stayed in Mashpee at New Seabury, and if you ever come out there, I mean, stay at the Pomponset Inn. So.
Good
If I
recommendation.
come out there, you're going to be my tour guide.
Oh yeah. We'll do that. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go ahead and get started so we can stay on time. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm so excited. This is our 21st Lunch and Learn, which is incredible. We've been doing these since shelter in place. I'll go over a couple Zoom rules, although I'm sure you guys are all used to it being on Zoom all the time, but please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Sharing your video is optional, although we love to see your friendly faces. And then please type all questions and comments into the chat. We have a very special guest today, Michelle Rowley. And if you have any questions throughout her presentation, you can type them into the chat or unmute yourself. We will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. A quick update from Autism Tree. This is amazing, everyone. We have now reached over 370,000 people through our social media since March, which is insane. That's through all of our social media platforms and channels, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I have an amazing team of interns who helps me update them each week and daily. So we're lucky to keep contact through our community through that time. Our posts have been shared over 661 times, another milestone, and then 238 videos are now on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe today if you haven't yet. It's easy, it's free, it takes 1 minute. We constantly update it daily with all of our community videos from our community members. We have 186 of those videos been posted since March 12th, which just blows me away. And I'm going to give a special thank you to everyone who has sent in a video to our families to stay connected. If you haven't made a video and you want to yet, you can definitely reach out to me, and we'd love to hear from you and any message that you want to pass on to our families to stay connected. A part of that series that we're doing is our Reading with Autism Tree video series. We have now posted 60 of those videos and reached over 36,000 people, where volunteers read a children's book to our kids. We've also provided 110 virtual events to date, and we have 16 events and counting coming up between now and September. And of course, we have offered 18 of our 20 programs. 17 are virtual. We offered one in person in July, and that was ever since March 12th. And now I will pass it on to Dana, our co-founder and volunteer executive director. She's going to be introducing our special guest speaker today.
Hi, everybody. So excited to be here and to make this big announcement. You are the first to be able to hear this, that as of today, Shelly and I spent the morning yesterday together, which was really important and special. And as a result, I don't know, most of you probably know Linda Townsend. She's one of our craziest, most out of the box, zany board member. She's been with Autism Tree. I've known her since 2004, when Garrett was 4 years old, and she never stops coming up with absolutely phenomenal ideas. And her desire to have Shelly, Michelle, she calls her Shelly, but Michelle Rowley, who's our speaker today, as a board member to Autism Tree has been long in the works. But yesterday it was like divine intervention. I wanted to spend time with Shelly before I introduced her today. And then I called Linda and we made it happen. We are having a board meeting tonight, and the board, since yesterday when I met with Shelly at lunchtime, we just now got the official vote in from our board that Michelle Rowley is our 13th new board member, and she's our 13th member, she's the newest member. And out of all the comments that came in, I loved Phil Sensicles. Phil has been on Zoom calls many times. Many of you know him. He has 3 little children, adorable. If you're not his Facebook friend, you'll love getting to know Phil. But he's a board member. He has a son with autism, and he wrote down how much Michelle Rowley has been the autism whisperer to his family for years. And what could be greater compliment to bringing anybody into the fold? So I wanted to make that announcement first, that Michelle Rowley, our speaker today, was just voted in as a new board member, and our first meeting that she'll be at is tonight. So I'm excited that I got to share that on this Lunch and Learn, because there's no way that I can exaggerate week over week over week. Being in this pandemic together with you has just continuously stretched me, and I hope that you know that I value each of you. I value seeing your face, anything you want to contribute, any further things you want to do. I trust your judgment. We're 21 weeks into this, and I just I realize how much I grow when I get to spend time one-on-one with people like Michelle Rowley, who yesterday in our time together, you know, Shelly is in my phone. When I looked up to call her, I find her as Shelly Rose Easterseals, and that's from when she was 21 years old, and I met her at an event that Linda Townsend put together at Robert Cromian's salon, and it really is something I've been reflecting on, that Michelle Rowley has been around. We say Shelly, that's everybody's nickname for her. She's been around since she was 21, so she's now evolved into this incredible professional, and it means so much. When I talk about that we're building something, I really truly mean it. I really want newer people like Jeff Snyder, who I don't think of you, Jeff, as new at all, because you're so ever present, you're so committed. You were a rock star and shined so bright at our neuroscience conference, and really took it next level because you always bring the East Coast with you, and that's really special and very important as well to all of us. Every doctor, everybody involved in the foundation really values the work that's being done on the East Coast too. And when I see you, I see that. So I might not be staying the literal, straight in my path right now with the introduction, and it's because spending time with Michelle yesterday just opened, me up in so many ways, and I kind of felt like I wanted to give a little bit of gratitude to people that are on this call that kind of keep me just even being able to show up sometimes right now. It would be really easy for me to be consumed. Todd's mom's only been gone 3 months. Every month we celebrate, we release balloons, and it's hard to explain it. It's just sometimes it feels, and I'm sure you guys feel this too in your own way, it feels very surreal. And then, with my Northern California, my side of the family, my brother losing his wife, his son, only being married a year and being a forest ranger and having everything, their whole house burned down. It's just, it's a lot of heavy stuff, and I really would like to thank everybody on here gives me strength, but when I really feel like I might not be able to show up in one way or another, I call Karen Wright, or I text her, and Sandy Anderson isn't on the call, but I immediately will feel like being covered in prayers. And I want to share that with you because Karen and Sandy, and I also want to say, John Hickey, I know that I carry you with me too. You're right there of like, I know you're not going to let me fall. I know you always watch out for me. And I'm sharing this with you because that is the essence of Autism Tree. And I want you to know that you're here, and that is the essence of why Autism Tree is 16 years old, is we do not let each other down. If you're really needing something, if there's something really going on for you, I'm encouraging you to not, if you're feeling like, okay, you're having trouble just getting through the next moment or something, I have my strategies too. And like I'm sharing with you, Karen that is our blessing of Autism Tree, is she has been our guiding light and a prayer warrior individually for a large percentage of people in Autism Tree over the years, including me, and very recently. Sometimes we go through challenges that just feel like they're exhausting and so long, and I want to share one with you, and I want to encourage you. Sometimes I have just found myself like doing something I wouldn't normally do, and just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the word is. Is it just called grace, or just called like, I'm gonna call in and say, I need something. And so Todd's mom's husband is 88. We're having to take the keys of his car away, which is the only thing he really cares about, is being able to drive. So it's just been a just really unimaginable situation, and it's a constant situation. So the other night I was just so feeling like I'm not going to be able to show up here or anywhere really. I just felt bogged down by it all, and I didn't even feel like I could call Sandy or Karen. So I reached out to Sister Mary Jo, who's one of the original women that I asked to support me when I started Autism Tree. And she just knew like I wasn't okay, and it was such a beautiful thing, and it was meant to be. And I almost didn't do it, and I was thinking, God, I just hope everybody, when you have a moment where you really need some redirection and just whatever it's going to take for you to keep showing up, I'm just so glad I called Sister Mary Jo, because she actually gave me the step-by-steps in detail what I needed to do to tell our family how we're going to be able to get the keys and car away from our grandpa, because he's been in 3 accidents recently, and thank God him or no one else was hurt, but it's getting very challenging, and we don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. And in the process of it, Sister Mary Jo, who is probably getting towards, she's in her 80s, and she's, sometimes been on 10 boards at once. She's a pillar at the Scripps Mercy Hospital system. And I just felt so thankful that she sat there and just told me how blessed she is that she doesn't fight depression, and that so many of her friends do. And that she just feels so great because she's helping everybody else right now, and her calendar is allowing her to do that. It's normally full, and it's not. And that she doesn't mind that extra time to be by herself. And she really thinks that this is a way that the world is getting blessed, and that we can re-look at, what is really important to us. And I know we've talked about it before, but I'm just letting you know, as much as I'm trying to focus on that, sometimes, I feel a little bit crushed by everything too. And I'm just hoping that this might help even one person today to say, it took a lot for me to call her. It wasn't even that early. It was kind of late at night, and I just did it. And I felt so thankful that I did, because then I actually got to sleep that night, and I felt somehow at peace. And that's what I'm always striving for on our Lunch and Learns, is that if you guys get anything out of the weekly Lunch and Learns, it's in some way that is giving you peace. You're taking a breath, and you're moving into the day. And I know everybody on this call is doing amazing things. And even if you're having a day where you're not, it's in you. It's who you are. And I feel that. I feel that 100%. So I wanted to make sure I said thank you, Karen, to you and to John. And I love everybody. And Marilee, I know, you know, we just go so far back that it gives me a lot of strength knowing that we're together in this, and that when Rebecca gives the impact numbers, it's just a fact. We're doing something important. We really, really are. And yesterday, spending time with Michelle to really do a great introduction today, it wasn't even on my radar that it was going to be 24 hours that we make her a new board member. So it's phenomenal what can happen when two people come together and really connect. And that's what me and Michelle did really for the first time like that. I had all these memories of her at ATPF core team meetings, at ATPF events. I'd actually forgot that she worked with Phil's family, who's on our board, and his son. And I felt so inspired by it. It doesn't happen to me that often that whatever my vision has been is kind of a little bit blown up and taken somehow to the next level. And that's really what Michelle did when she was sharing with me deeply about her vision of helping parents. It's something that is so important. And I think, you know, as much as we can do that, it's such a blessing. And my question today actually is, what are you doing to invest in relationships? And what I've tried to do is, when I'm bringing the speaker into you, is introduce them as a family member. And sometimes that doesn't require me to go and meet with the speaker. But with Michelle, we hadn't really ever had a one-on-one. We see each other, and every interaction I've ever had with her, I feel joyful. She just brings something that is so authentically her, and she's passionate about her vision and what she's doing, whatever stage she's been in. I met her before the night when she was just falling in love, or the early days before she married her husband, Justin. And I feel like when I see them, they feel like that same young couple. And it's just hard for me to believe it's been that many years now. But what I'm doing to invest in my relationships is that I'm trying every week to make sure that I'm bringing someone forward in a way that's sort of like introducing to another family member at the foundation. And some of the people that have been on the call, like Marilee Burgessson, have been around since almost really before the foundation. So I don't have to as much dig down and figure out, you know, how to introduce Marilee. I just almost didn't know where to start or how to even try to capture the relationship. But with Michelle, it was just so special because it really blessed me that she's been around Autism Tree since she was 21 years old. And now she's married and she works for Butterfly Effects. And she's gotten, you know, Lisa has met with the president, I believe, of her company before. Michelle has gotten Butterfly Effects to be a sponsor for Autism Tree. There's been so many things that have happened, and I'm aware of all of them, but that yesterday, I'm investing by really going into it to connect. And when you do that, it's fully phenomenal what happens. What happens is I fully grew. It made my vision really kind of change and expand and just go, wow, you know, sometimes we need to change what we're thinking or what we're doing. And it's such a blessing when someone does that in a loving way, because they're so full of love and passion, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And I'd already actually picked out this question and this video, but I think it's all in honor of the speaker today. This is a short one, but I love it, and I hope you guys do too.
Compassion means being aware of others' needs and acting to help them. Compassionate people display the following behaviors. They think about others, not just their own needs and interests. They are receptive to the demands of others and even anticipate them. They detect others' suffering and strives to understand and relieve it. They have good thoughts about others. They do not do to others what they would not want others to do to them. They treat others well without expecting a reward. They treat people well, even those who they don't have to. They are kind and helpful to the people with whom they interact. They can direct their attention to others. They do not just focus on themselves. They recognize their ability to help others. They maintain a balance between trust and prudence. Compassion can be developed through listening and empathy. You can start by making small gestures that benefit the people closest to you. For example, friends, neighbors, classmates. Later, this reflection can be extended to people who are further away.
We'll send that video out in the follow-up too. Sorry if it was a little bit choppy. And I love this quote for Michelle. Kindness changes the world one heart at a time. I know that, I believe that, and yesterday in the time I had with Michelle, I definitely felt it was all that. And I'm so blessed when I feel an insane heart connection. And you can't go around living like that all day, every day, but it's just when one person with passion meets with another person with passion and you really talk it out, it's fully remarkable what can happen. Hi, Terrence.
Oh, hi.
Thank you for being here. I love looking back so much on photos, and I can't help it. I love it because so many times lately when I've been looking at photos, it's because the person has passed away recently. So I love this concept. I love this concept of like opening the Autism Tree and looking at, wow, where did we start with Michelle Rowley? And it's really special. If you look at the second picture, that's where Michelle is 21 years old with her new boyfriend, Justin, and Linda Townsend, who just brought her onto the ATPF board. It just how beautiful that we have that photo. It's from an Autism Tree fundraiser that Linda Townsend did. And then, these are Shelly and Michelle and her husband, Justin, at other events too. If you look at the far left and the one from Breakfast at Tiffany's and more toward the middle, she's with our board member, Phil. And that's the whose son Michelle worked with for many years. And then next to that is from one of the 1,000-person luncheon that we did. So there's lots more photos than this of Michelle, but I think this is a great snapshot, especially to introduce her as someone who has really blessed the foundation for a really long time. And I want to thank you, Michelle, for reconnecting yesterday and kind of syncing up and just knowing that today it's going to be a blessing for everyone here. And I hope that we all get to know Michelle better as she now is an official new board member. Thank you for being here, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Dana. You definitely had me tearing up throughout your whole introduction, so thank you. As Dana said, I am a BCBA. I currently work for Butterfly Effects here in San Diego. I've been working with kids on the spectrum for the last 10 years. And I was just kind of getting my feet wet back when I came to the first Autism Tree event. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was working a booth at the event, was teaching. It was a Valentine's Day event and like teaching how to tie bow ties. And he told me, hey, there's this event here about autism. You should totally come. They said you can come. It's no problem. And I came and met Dana and Todd and Linda and Lisa and just like really fell in love with this community and have been around ever since. And yeah, so that was 10 years ago. Fast forward, now I'm a BCBA, and working with families and working with children with special needs is my passion. One of my favorite things that I love about my job, I currently do in-home ABA. So I get to work in homes, working directly with not only our kids, but also their parents, and be able to teach parents a lot of the skills and strategies that we're using with their children in order to help support them, and really help them live the most amazing life as possible and support them through those tough times and help them celebrate those milestones. And it's really my favorite part of my job. So today I will be talking about tips and tricks for success with online learning. This is, I think, super important right now, as most kids went back to school this week or last week, and it's been extremely challenging for everyone. And not only are these some like tips and tricks for our kids, and I call them our kids because I feel like they're all mine. But also tips and tricks that I found are really helpful for me. I am working right now all through the computer, as I think most people are doing all telehealth, and I find myself using a lot of these strategies to help keep me on task and keep me motivated and keep me sane. So not only is this stuff that can help support your kids, but also stuff that you can kind of take in to your own practice and implement yourself. So one of the first strategies that I have up here are visual schedules. I know everyone is very familiar with visual schedules, all different types that we can use, but really it's so, so important for our kiddos to let them know what their day is going to look like, especially with so many things changing and school on the computer and Zoom and which classes come next. If you have older kids that see multiple teachers, or kids that have IEPs that then have an IEP teacher and then their regular classroom teacher and all of that, like it's really, really important to just let them know what's coming up. I know personally, when I know what my day is going to look like, I feel a lot more motivated and it's a lot easier to work through my day instead of just feeling really scattered, like things are just being thrown at me and I don't really have any idea what's happening. So with these visual schedules, you can use pictures, words. The one on here has a clock for some of our kids that can tell time. And another piece that can be really important is allowing your kid to be involved in it. So allowing them to either draw a picture that this is a picture of my teacher, so this is the picture we're going to use when it's time for me to sit in with this teacher, or this is a picture of my favorite snack that I drew, I'm going to use that for snack time. Or even just choosing pictures online and choosing those ones that are going to stand for different times throughout the day. So there's a couple pictures on here. The one on the right is like a really fancy schedule. There's this awesome website. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's called, hold on, I have it written down here. It's called teacherspaidteachers.com. And they have all kinds of PDFs and downloadables for under $5 that are really beautiful, like this one that you can edit and change. And there's social stories. And I mean, you could be on there for hours digging around, but it's a great place to find some visual materials that you want to use for kids. And then all the way down to like this really basic one with Mickey Mouse that I made for one of my kiddos that's a lot younger. So, he doesn't have as much stuff scheduled in his day as far as school goes. And using a Word document and copy and pasting. Okay, first you can choose whatever activity. Let's say first you're going to do puzzles. Then we're going to sit at the table. We're going to work for 15 minutes. And then we get to watch YouTube. This kid in particular is really into those unboxing videos. So that was his reinforcer at the end of his schedule. You can go ahead and click to the next one. Thanks. Next one is breaks. I can't stress this enough. Breaks are so, so important. And, we want to make sure that we're not waiting until we see signs of our kids being frustrated before we give them a break, right? Or even like before we start to see them like doing some of the wiggling and looking around. So we're really setting them up for success before they get to that point where they're feeling frustrated. They're maybe moving into having a meltdown. It's turning into this lot bigger thing, where if we're setting up these breaks before, then it's so much easier for them to come back and re-engage after the break with doing something less preferred, like hopping back into a Zoom meeting. This is something that I've had to implement for myself. When I started doing all of this online telehealth stuff back in March, I'm sitting in front of my computer and I'm tired and I'm falling asleep and I'm not motivated to work. And I look at the clock and I realize I've been sitting in the same spot for 5 hours. I haven't moved. And that's something I've never done in my whole life as somebody that's very high energy and needs to be moving all the time. Of course I'm feeling icky. I need to move my body. So now I schedule breaks in my day where I block out time I'll block out 10 minutes and be like, okay, at this time, you're going to step away from your computer, drink some water, do a lap around the house, come back and kind of re-engage with whatever task is at hand. So one way that we can kind of figure out when these breaks are needed for our kids is to really look at how much time is passing when they're sitting down to do a worksheet or sitting down to their Zoom meetings before you start to notice that they're getting wiggly or they're getting antsy or they're showing signs of frustration. And then set up regular breaks 5 to 10 minutes before that time. So then again, we're giving them those breaks before they're getting to that point where they're really, really needing it, and it might turn into some other things that, you know, we'd want to decrease in the future. Our next tip is selecting reinforcers. So finding some things, a list of activities that your child loves to do, things that are fun and exciting, and maybe things, especially for online learning times, that they don't get to do very often that are really, really fun. And then being able to build those things into their schedule. And then lastly, choosing and allowing them to choose which activities out of those high reinforcers are going to be on their schedule. Really allowing them to make the choice in the life of a child where a lot of choices you don't get to make is super, super powerful. So even though they don't get to be in charge of when they have to sit down for school, even though, you know, lunch and dinner and things are at this really specific time, giving them the power of having choice of, oh, well, do you want to paint after your Zoom meeting, or do you want to blow bubbles after your Zoom meeting? And giving them that power can really help them feel more in control of their day, and especially just more in control of these unprecedented times that we're in that we don't really feel like we have a lot of control. These are some photos from one of my clients. You can tell he's really into Toy Story, of some of his reinforcers. So this mom, what we did is she just took pictures on her iPhone of some of his favorite things. So he loves to paint. He loves to play with his toys. He loves to do puzzles. And at the beginning of each day, before he sits down or they get him set up for Zoom meetings, he gets to choose which one he wants to do after sitting in his meeting for 20 minutes. And that's part of his visual schedule that's sitting right next to him. So it's also that reminder of like, hey, I know this is really tough, but coming up, we're going to paint, and we can paint. I think these are Wally. Yeah, we can paint Wally characters. And then the other picture on the top right is what we call like a choice board, or just like a menu. So again, all of those activities that are really fun and reinforcing for this kid, and then allowing them to get to choose what they want to do next. And having a choice board can be really helpful. A lot of times when we ask our kids, well, what do you want to do? It's a huge open-ended question, and sometimes you don't get a response because it's really overwhelming. I imagine it's like going to the Cheesecake Factory, if you've ever been there, and you look, and those are choices in there, right? But you look at the menu and there's 147 options of every type of food you could ever imagine, and being overwhelmed and just not being able to make a choice. I don't know if anyone else experiences that like I do. I see people nodding. So having like a board of 9 different activities that you know are highly preferred that they can choose from can really help make that decision and help support them in that. This next tip is called the grandma principle, or using first then. So I'm sure we all had that experience of our grandparents or parents saying, first eat your peas and then you can have dessert. This is exactly the same thing. So setting up those really highly preferred activities that are coming right after an online learning lesson. So giving them like, hey, first we're gonna do math, and then we get to go do bubbles, or then, you know, we can go for a walk, or choosing some really, really preferred thing that makes that non-preferred thing or thing we don't want to do a little bit easier, because once we get through it, we're getting that awesome reward or that awesome activity to be able to do after. Arranging and modifying the environment. So I think I saw someone that popped in, I think it's Emily, you have like an awesome table set up already that looks like it's your kids' area for school. So that's exactly what this is, you know, designating an area to set your kid up for success. So finding an area that's just for them, that's just for their online learning time, and then having things in that area that are easily accessible that they're going to need. So have a bottle of water, have some of those fidget toys. I can't tell you how helpful some fidget toys have been for a lot of our clients, of just having something to squeeze or manipulate or move around to get out some of that energy while they're sitting in front of their class. Amazon has, I think it's like a $10, it's like called a fidget pack, and you can get 20 different fidgets for $10. I've ordered many of them. They're amazing. I have one at my desk. My desk is a mess, otherwise I would show you. I have one that I personally use that's been really helpful for me. Also a clock. So our kids that can tell time can look at it and know, okay, at 11:30, I get to take a break. I'm done. I can hop off. So giving them just another visual of knowing what's coming up, and we're almost there. Another part of arranging the environment is not just what their table looks like or where they are, the environment around them, but also being able to modify some tasks. If they have a worksheet that's 30 pages long, looking at all of those questions, immediately you can see little bodies tense up and it feels like a lot. So modifying it, highlighting the questions they have to do, have them do all the odd ones. Another one that's just like a great physical prompt, like a physical visual, is folding it in half. And then you get to be the hero of your kid's day, right? Because now you're making that huge 20 question worksheet only 10. And then starting from there, hey man, you're doing an awesome job. We're just gonna do 5. And then we take a break and we'll come back later. I think the other piece that's really important to remember is that your teachers, your OT, PT, speech, ABA, everyone that's working with your child, all we want is for them to succeed, right? And especially with school, if your kid's if they're assigned a 20, let's keep referring to math because I'm not a big math fan. So let's say, they have 20 questions in math. If they're able to do 10 and that's a big win, that is totally fine. We want to make sure that they have the skill. It's not necessarily about how many you can do. It's really just about learning and being able to understand and do the process. So remember that it's okay to modify and change. We're living in, again, like these really unprecedented times, and we're all learning it newly. The teachers are figuring it out. I'm sure you've seen on the Zoom videos, some teachers are very disorganized and they're trying to get it together, or they're trying to figure out the tech, just like we're trying to figure out the tech, just like our kids are trying to figure everything out. It's okay. And everything is shifting and changing, and making those modifications is really, really necessary and super, super important for everybody. Our next slide, kind of back to what I was just saying, is reach out to their teachers. Let them know what you're dealing with. Let them know that your child is having a hard time sitting in their seat for more than 5 minutes, and that, figuring out that break time and sending their teacher an email. Hey, you know what, Johnny, we're working on sitting for more than 5 minutes, and I just want to give you a heads up that every 5 minutes we might turn off our camera. We're still there. We can hear you. But we got to move. We got to move our bodies, or we got to take a lap and we're going to hop right back on. Just like I said, teachers are still figuring it out too, and they all want your kids to succeed. And so all of the teachers that I've been working with my families and with my clients have been super, super helpful and really receptive to some of the changes that we've had to make and supports that we've put in to be able to help our kids. And the other piece is then letting them know, so we're back to hey, every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, we need a short break and we'll be right back. And then letting them know, and we're working to increase this time, right? So we might start at 5 minutes, but then next week we might be at 7 minutes, and the following week 10, and we're moving it up and building up to then where eventually they can sit for a whole hour, which seems still so wild to me for our kids, and be on the computer. And it's also really important to remember that sitting in front of a screen and attending to what's going on is a skill, right? We're not born, it might feel that way, but we're not born knowing how to just plop ourselves in front of something and pay attention. It's a skill. So it's something that we have to practice and practice and practice, and it'll get better every single time. And it's okay to be wherever you're at. Wherever you're at is fine. And it just gives us a point to know, okay, here's where we're starting, and here's where we can go, and then kind of go from there to make it happen. And my last slide, online learning. We've got this. As I've said, this is new for everyone, and it's all really trial and error. There's nothing that's been put out there that says this is the right way to do it, this is the wrong way to do it, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. As all of you know, all of our kids and all people are just so different. It's not a one size fits all. So really giving yourself the grace, like Dana had said, and having grace and knowing that it's okay, and wherever you're starting is perfect and it's fine. And another tip that I would love to leave you with is something that I share with my parents too, is at the end of the day, write down your wins for the day, right? If you can choose 2 or 3 things, big or small, write those down. And that is really, really helpful to reflect back on those days that you're having a really challenging time, to look back and be like, you know what, yesterday was really, really rough, but the highlight of the day was that my kid asked for a break, and he's never asked for a break before. Usually he's crying and throwing things. And today he looked at me and said, I need a break. Whoa, that's amazing. Or maybe it's my kid sat in front of the computer for 30 more seconds today. That is a huge, huge win. So being able to just celebrate those wins every day amount to really having a much more meaningful connection to how amazing your life and your child really are. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so much,
That was
Shelley.
nice. Well done.
Thanks.
Well done. Nice.
Amazing. Gosh, everything that you said is so necessary during this time. I've had so many parents and families contact me and say how overwhelmed they are during this time to have their kids sit in front of a screen again and getting back into that schedule and get back into online learning. So just everything that you shared, the visual schedules, breaks, and to have that for ourselves too. It's so necessary. And I just love all the ideas that you shared. So I'll open it up. We have about 3 minutes left. If anybody has a question for Michelle, or wants to ask any more tips, I think she covered everything, or want to share your story. If you're a parent and you want to share how you're doing something with your kids that is really working for you right now, we'd love to hear from you as well. So I'll look at the chat a little bit and see. Awesome. Thank you, Karen. She says, great lunch and learn, tons of wisdom and very informative. Yes, definitely. Jeff says, I will say this open and honestly, this is not going to last forever. It will end and kids will be back in the classroom. Eventually. We're taking it one day at a time. I know every parent is. So that's so fantastic. Well, anybody want to unmute themselves or anything, or raise their hand if they have a question? I know a lot of schools are doing different things each day. Oh, thank you, Emily. She says, reaching out and letting people know that I appreciate them and how they have had a great impact on mine and my children's life. That's beautiful. Yes, definitely.
And you guys are part of that. I will cry too because I'm emotional, but I take notes. And I appreciate all of you. I really do.
Thank you so much, Emily. And gosh, I do love your room. That's so
Thank you. This is my favorite room in the house. It used to be this most cluttered toy room that was a mess and embarrassing. And I would be like, close it up. Don't let anybody in there. And I turned it into a classroom. I painted it white and I turned it into our classroom. And it's my favorite place to be now.
oh, it's cool.
I love it.
It was
so
the first
good.
thing I noticed, Emily, and I love it too. It's so cute and perfect. I love it.
Thank you. And it makes it nice. It makes it more like calming and comfortable and feel like a good place to learn and be.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, to answer Tamar's question as well, I will be including all of Shelly's whole PowerPoint, all the resources that she shared in our follow-up email today, and we'll also post it on social media so you all have access to that. And of course, this Lunch and Learn is recorded, so if you want to go back and hear what Shelly has said and shared with us today, you are definitely welcome to on our YouTube channel. Okay, well, let me just do a last big group picture. So thank you so much, Shelly. Everybody, if they want to turn on your cameras, we'd love to see your friendly face. And I'll take one on my computer right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Okay, thank you so
You guys, I got to tell you something. Next week is our first international Lunch and Learn. I don't know if you guys have ever met Francisco, but he's something else. And he was here in America, and he would bring so many other people. He was studying English, and he has a son with autism. He's going to be coming to us from Brazil. He's written a book. He's just, you're not going to want to miss meeting Francisco. And I'm excited to see us accomplish doing a Lunch and Learn with someone in Brazil. Our first international one. So look forward to seeing you guys. Have a beautiful day.
Great seeing you.
Thank you.